Hi, how you doing, everybody? Tony Lockwood here at CAASE 18. Got a great discussion coming up here. Malcolm, please introduce yourself and your organization, and let's get rolling.
Hi, folks. My name is Malcolm Panthaki. I'm with Comet Solutions. I helped found the company in 2001. I've spent my entire career working on various aspects of democratizing simulation, bringing simulation to people who are not the experts in the underlying tools. So without any further introduction, let's just move on.
All right, very good. All right, now you're a part of a brand new organization dedicated to democratizing analysis and simulation, all that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, introduce that organization, and what are we going to do, and how do they find out more? Let's start right there.
So myself, along with a number of industry thought leaders, have gotten together to create a new web community that has just launched. It's called revolutioninsimulation.org. Please check it out. Go online and see if this is something that would be useful to you. The idea here was to bring together under a single roof all of the resources, which would include learning materials, prior case studies and articles and blogs, as well as the experts, the service providers and software providers that one would need to democratize simulation in your organization.
Now, for people who are unfamiliar with democratizing simulation, why don't you give us a little rundown on that? What does that mean?
So we're trying to do with simulation what has been done with many other technologies. So if you take a quick look at your cell phone, one of the first apps you're going to gravitate to quite often is your navigation app.
That's right. Here's an example of a cell phone for you Luddites out there.
And even someone like Tony, who is, I believe, 120 years old.
At least, yeah.
Carries a cell phone in a very handy manner right there. And the reason it's as ubiquitous as it is because a lot of the applications that you find on the cell phone, including the navigation app, are incredibly easy to use. They are accurate, they're cheap, they're reliable, and all of us know, have a tremendous amount of high technology hiding behind that simple looking interface. That's an example of taking complex technologies and democratizing it. The automobile is another one. It started out as a mechanic's nightmare and ended up being a teenager's dream, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But that's another example of democratizing extremely high technology. That's exactly what we want to do with simulation. Take these complex tools that are used and usable only by experts who spend sometimes decades perfecting the use of them, and allow anybody in the organization to ask the questions and get the answers in a safe and robust manner.
And that helps the experts be more expert in the long run.
Absolutely. They become the keepers of these templates and the knowledge. They are now much more valuable to the company because their expertise is now leveraged way beyond themselves. Try as hard as they cannot seem to get more than 24 hours a day.
Right.
Whereas if 10 other people used their expertise, you now have quickly multiplied what that expertise can do for the company, while freeing up the experts' time to develop better methods, work on the thorny problems, and keep moving this technology and its use forward.
Right. And from the MBA's point of view, because we know you bean counters are out there, this will speed your time to market dramatically, because you'll have people designing products that don't get sent back from the analysis guys saying this isn't going to work, this isn't going to happen, or you can make it, but it's going to cost more money than anywhere. So this is a good trend. This is good stuff. Now, how are you going to advance this further? How do you get companies to cooperate and get their ability to make the templates, for example, or explain the utility of these sort of things?
Well, just as with most new technologies or new ways of working, you've got the early adopters.
Right.
And what the early adopters do is clean out some of the warts in the approach,
Right.
which is important.
Yes.
But more importantly, what they do is they now create real-world case studies that are now accessible to anybody who's interested in asking the question, does this thing really work in a real-world situation? And that's where we are now. We've worked with a number of companies, and that number keeps growing, both here ourselves, both here as well as in China, that are gaining quite a few benefits from doing things this way. And there's something else I'd like to add, which is the fundamental underlying technology that allows this to work is a very robust and intelligent form of simulation automation. Without explaining that further, I'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
But the important thing is, with this form of automation, you can use these underlying templates to work across significant design changes as you're exploring the design, as well as across an entire product family, which is very important. That makes these apps highly useful across an entire product family. But not just that, this underlying automation now can become the foundational technology for a whole host of advanced capabilities we're hearing a lot about these days. Generative design, additive manufacturing, the whole idea of automatically analyzing digital twin information, which, as you can imagine, would be useless without automation. And so there are a number of these things that are now pushed forward with the same underlying technology that's driving democratization.
Very good. Now, people, of course, are always wondering about, okay, horsepower, cost. What are the factors? Do I have to go out and buy a whole series of hardware or things like that to handle this?
Well, first and foremost, if your engineers are already performing these simulations, and they are, let's just say they are, you've currently got the hardware that you need to begin this process.
Right.
There's nothing new required there.
Right.
You already have the processes in place that are templatizable. That's a great step.
Right.
So the first step is to experiment with this. To start out small, pick a particular process that's high value, and make it work.
Yeah.
And the key here is, in the past, templates have been created with a lot of programming and scripting,
Right.
which is a method that has hit a wall.
Right.
Has tremendous limitations.
Yeah, scripting.
The important thing is to use what are called low-code development platforms, or LCDPs, which are very common in the web world, to develop the templates as well as the front ends, the GUIs that are used to package these templates and drive them.
Right.
Once you do that, then your entry cost is actually surprisingly low, and your entry amount of time to get to a first template is also surprisingly low, and then you can go from there.
The cultural issue always comes up. The sod. I'm the guru. Why do I want to do that? That's eliminating my job. You run into that, and down at the other side is, I'm a designer. I'm not a analyst.
So there are role changes involved in this process. There certainly are, and I think the best way to try to overcome those cultural barriers is to check out a lot of the use cases that are already online in revolutionandsimulation.org, and that set is going to grow. And here at NAFEMS, there are a large number of presentations. There are use cases outlining the successes that people have had in this area. So check it out first to convince yourself that it's worthwhile pursuing.
Right.
And secondly, try it small. A number of engineers that we have actually encountered have been quite willing to try this because they are essentially quite tired of doing the day-to-day work, and they're buried. The day-to-day work keeps piling up. The number of experts does not increase.
Right.
And so they recognize fairly quickly, at least a number of them have, that by doing this, you really are becoming more valuable to the organization.
Right.
And are now offloading all of the low-end, day-to-day, mundane calculations to people who are willing to pick it up because they're willing to do it because it's very easy.
Right.
They can start within their CAD environment, very quickly take that CAD and move it into these apps and get an answer in hours rather than potentially days or weeks, based upon the workload that's there with the simulation experts now.
Very good.
So I make it sound easier than it is. These are barriers,
Right.
and they must be overcome. But the first step is to recognize that the benefits can be tremendous. And then, like we've always done in the past, you'll overcome the barriers.
Right. Now, let me ask you then with this. All right, overcoming the barriers, stuff like that. Where does it go beyond that? Because you're really talking about the beginning of, I hate using this word, a new paradigm here. Where does it go? It changes the process. There was enough trouble with just embedded FEA.
It didn't work for various reasons.
Yeah, it didn't work for a lot of reasons.
Bottom line is, if you've got an approach that ultimately doesn't work, it's A, not feasible in many cases, B, doesn't give you ROI that's sufficient. Well, what do you think is going to happen to that?
Right, yeah, it's gone. It's out of there.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, it has to be proven to be quite useful. In this particular case, with the case studies that we currently already have, and a number of them, and it's not just us, Comet Solutions, there are a number of other companies moving in this direction that have been supplying the various pieces required to make democratization work. The case studies show that the benefits can be dramatic. Not a 5% change or a 10% change or not even a 50% change, an 80%, a 90% change, a dramatic improvement in what you're able to do. That's one. Secondly, the underlying technology, as I mentioned before, this robust, intelligent simulation automation, is foundational to a whole host of other advanced capabilities that we now hear a huge buzz about. And I'm not sure how feasible they are today without something foundational like this level of robust automation. And we've talked about a number of them. And sure, there's buzz right now, and there's the honeymoon phase where everyone's quite excited about it. I predict it's going to simply stall or fall flat on its face in many cases unless the foundation's taken care of. Better simulation data management, better simulation processes and automation in the form of these intelligent automation templates I'm talking about are absolutely key to this, because you're going to be doing thousands and hundreds of thousands of these calculations, and before you know it, you blink and you're flooded.
Right.
And if you're trying to do it manually, of course, it's absolutely infeasible. Right. So this is going to be the start, I believe, if people accept this piece of it, to a huge number of other advanced capabilities becoming feasible.
And that leads me to Comet Solutions.
Say it again?
And that leads me to Comet Solutions. I would be remiss if I didn't let you talk about your day job, so to speak.
Well, Comet was founded in 2001 for the express purpose of creating a platform, a low-code development platform that created these intelligent simulation automation templates with an underlying data management platform to deal with product engineering data in a manner that's independent of the underlying tools. That's been a missing piece.
Yeah.
If you look at simulation, it's been fragmented. Each simulation tool grabs its share of the data in its own form and format, and there's often no common form that's independent of that and abstracts the engineering part of it. You want to define, for example, a joint. An engineer understands what a joint is, but every single one of these tools that deals with joints deals with them completely differently. So you need something that pulls it away from there. We felt that was foundational to creating these intelligent simulation automation templates.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. The Revolution in Simulation website is all one word.org. Comet Solutions, same thing, but .com. And again, you can contact the DE editors, and we'll have a whole list of these for you when you need them. Thank you so much for your time, Malcolm.
Thank you, Tony.
Have
I
fun.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.